role.
Okay, so today I'm not actually picking a book which is something I read 12 years ago and has influenced my life. I'm actually going straight into something everyone is talking about. It is The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. And if you haven't heard about it, this is your lucky day. This book is actually like it set off a lot of debate in the US and globally because Jonathan Haidt basically is talking about the great rewiring of childhood, which has taken place since 2010. And basically, what his argument says is that in 2010, smartphones actually hit the market, and the early adopters of smartphones were teenagers, right? And so, the more teenagers got into like a smartphone based childhood, what he calls a phone based childhood, versus what was previously a play based childhood, he has done a lot of research and he basically believes that that is leading to a mental health epidemic. His research actually focuses on the US, but they do actually draw on different surveys and studies done in Europe and a couple of other countries. And they basically, he and his partners, they basically find this huge trend towards teenagers and tweens and younger kids having more anxiety and mental health issues as a result of smartphone usage. Now, if you were to just hear this on the face of it, I think many people would say, yes, it sounds like this could be true. Social media definitely has not been a net positive, especially if you're in a vulnerable position or come from a vulnerable group. But equally, there are many, many people who are saying, listen, while there may be some truth to what Jonathan Haidt is saying, the fact is that a lot of research over here is it doesn't demonstrate causality, it is actually correlation. Let me first explain that, which is to say that just because smartphones came in 2010 and the usage went up, and also there is some amount of information where children themselves and teenagers themselves have talked about the fact that they have mental health issues, and both these things happening at the same time run in parallel does not mean that the phones are actually causing the anxiety. It could mean that perhaps people are talking more about mental health issues. It could mean that like you are more likely to spend more time on social media and the internet, in the internet if you are actually facing these kind of issues. So they are saying it's correlational and it's not actually, it's not actually a cause. Part of, I think, the blowback to this is because if you are actually saying that the generation itself is under an epidemic, I think it triggers off different requirements in terms of responses, right? Like the state might have to get involved, the tech companies have to take more cognizance, parents. Now, let me tell you my take. And I actually think I might need more than one video to like talk about this issue, and I might need more than one book to talk about this issue, because this is like a trigger book, frankly, for me to make this video. But I have tons of other books I've read that talk about childhood and development and really like what's going on in in terms of our growth today. Okay, so let's go into the other take. Now, there are some figures that he comes across over here that he puts in the book, which is basically children talking about also parents being distracted. So I mean, you felt it, right? Like you're talking to someone and they just pick up their phone while you're talking to them, right? And immediately that signal is you're not as important as the person on the phone. Or you're talking to someone and you can't wait to pick up your phone and check your messages because you know somewhere you're not really like zoned into what this person is saying. We've all felt it. Now imagine being a child whose parent is clearly on the phone and the child is trying to get the parent's attention. Or imagine being a parent who is actually quite aware that you're not giving your 100% attention to the child. So I somewhere do believe that this book is probably quite triggering for parents. I mean, I definitely thought about, oh gosh, I've started to put my phone down. But equally, I take videos of my daughter, right? Because I just find her so damn cute. But like, is that the right thing for me to be doing? Like to introduce the phone as a conduit between our interactions. So I do feel like this is actually like a wake-up call to parents as well. And everything that Haidt describes in terms of and he talks a lot about teenage girls and what they are going through vis-a-vis teenage boys, and not just teenage, he talks about kids much younger as well. And and when he describes like the social anxiety around smartphone usage, you as an adult can imagine this. Even if you're not using your phone, like I mentioned, you're mentally still there, right? You're kind of thinking about what's happening, and a lot of times you're in the middle of doing focused work, and yet you pick up that phone and you check an app, and if there's no notification on that app, you go to another app. You're just looking for that hit, right? And you are probably doing it right before bedtime, when you and I both know we should not be doing it, and that's going to disturb our sleep, right? You're probably doing it and like irritating the person sitting with you, but you do it anyway, right? So there are a lot of different things that Jonathan Haidt says that is happening to teenagers that I think are very, they're very relatable for us as adults. And honestly, we kind of leapt into, phone based lifestyles. I mean, at least I did in my 20s, but there was no real guide. And when I was working at Twitter, and when I was, when I was talking about people adopting Twitter for advocacy purposes, non-profits, to raise your own voice, we would talk about the amount of times people unlock the phone as an opportunity to communicate to someone, right? But if you now like take a step back and you look at it, you're like, oh my God, why are you unlocking your phone hundreds of times in the day? Like, maybe that's not such a good thing. Okay, so let me go back a little bit to what he says about kids and the way childhood has changed. And I think this is like a really, really important point, because I am a mother of a 5-year-old. So I really, really thought about this till the age of 5, and now realize there's so much more to go. I'm gonna have to like really focus on this. But the difference between a play-based childhood and a phone-based childhood, and what he says is, do not make the mistake of conflating internet and devices with social media. What he believes is social media is much worse if your child is on social media before they are emotionally able to be on social media. But certainly, obviously, early access to technology can also be inhibitor in the right kind of development. I will probably make another video, talking about child development under the age of 5 and over the age of 5, because I've read a couple of books and I think they would be interesting. But short, long story short, children need to be, they need like risk-based play. So what he thinks is that parents basically got really worried about the outside world, right? And they started thinking there are predators everywhere, it's unsafe, you can get hurt, all these things can happen to my child. So it might be easier to give them the phone, not fully, appreciating that actually being online can be really dangerous for the child. And when he talks about a play-based childhood, he actually is talking about the fact that like, children need to like see each other and talk to each other, and they need to like pick up on each other's emotions in real time, and that's how they will learn to navigate like human relationships going forward, right? And they need to have like a variety of other experiences that build like personality resilience. And he feels that like, even though you might be getting that kind of community on social media, but like it's not always like, you're not like, I'm talking to you, right? And I'm going to see how many people saw this video, and I'll probably read your comments, but it's not the same as like me like talking to you in real time and having a conversation where I can see what your reaction to my my thoughts are. So it is a different experience, and I think we need to acknowledge that it's not necessarily always bad, but we need to be ready for the repercussions. The other thing that he talks about a lot is that he gives a couple of suggestions in the end, and like some are a little controversial depending on where you are, but he thinks that kids should not be given smartphones before the age of 14, I think, which is to say that he says you can give flip phones and dumb phones, but don't give them a smartphone and an iPad, okay? And I know a lot of parents will be like, I cannot survive without the iPad, but trust me, I don't have an iPad in my house. Like, I make my daughter watch her YouTube stuff on the TV because I just don't want her scrolling, right? Like, I feel like that has been the worst thing, right? Even for myself. So the other thing he says is, don't get social media before you're 16. We can discuss this, subsequently when we're talking a little more about platforms, when I pick up some other books. But, people are also arguing that kids are mature enough to get on social media platforms before the age of 16. People want to lower it to 13. So I think Haidt's suggestion is actually like hitting upon business models as well, and is hitting upon like the sale of phones. So I think there's a business implication to what he's saying. And so there are obviously conflicting views about that. And then even a parent who's able to be at home and like engage the child versus like maybe there's a game on the iPad. So it's also personal, it's not just business, let's put it that way. He does say don't allow phones in schools. For me, it seems like a non-brainer. I don't know why you need to have a smartphone while you're in classes, but he does mention that. He's got one more suggestion. I'm just forgetting right now. But mainly, I think his two main suggestions. Yeah, and he says that you should have more of a play-based childhood, right? And you should not like encourage kids to be on the phone so early. So yeah, long story short, I think that's like partly what he says in general, and depending on who you are, where you are in life, and what your experience with children is, you might have a different take. He also warns a lot about like the impact to girls versus boys, right? And so what he says is that when children get on the internet in the first place, boys are actually drawn a lot more to like YouTube and gaming, and so they are like they have a different part of the internet, and a lot of them go into Reddit, which probably has its own problems because I love Reddit, so I know it can be slightly problematic, but anyway. But he says that's where the boys are. And then he says girls are drawn to all the visual apps, right? So they are like on Instagram, they're on Snapchat. And even Frances Horns, like when she released all that internal data about I think Instagram's own studies, there is obviously a lot of information piling up to say that girls who are consuming content around like anorexic diets and water diets and like all kinds of stuff, they're leading to like obviously health issues, body image issues and things like that. So he cautions about that. Now again, I'm going to remind you, a lot of people have said the research doesn't say that there is causality, there is correlational. Some of it will be how much evidence do you need to be cautious about these things. Some people will have a differing view. I am, a mom of a daughter, so for me this hits differently, and I need to be, I need to think more about it and be mindful of what I allow my child to do, because I myself know I have like suffered through those Facebook years, putting on weight and then just feeling so bad about myself. And then 5 years go by and you look at your picture and you say, damn, why was I so hard on myself? I think I look fine. So we're all, we've all kind of gone through these motions. So what I'm going to do is maybe leave it here, and with the promise that I think I'm going to revisit this issue a little more. But just like laying out what Jonathan Haidt is provoking. And, as much as you think about the children, please think about yourself and your habits and how they've shaped you and your interactions and friendships over the last 10, 15 years. I think that will tell you, how you really feel about this subject. And now I've chosen a book to recommend to, all the parents, uncle, aunts, grandparents who might want to buy one. It is, it's called Brave Irene. It's by William Stegg, and it's the story of Irene, who has to go through a snowstorm to deliver a package because her mother is unable to do so. Her mother has fallen ill and she has to give this dress to this fancy family. I think it's a royal family. And the whole book is just about like Irene through this snowstorm and how she doesn't think she can make it, but then she's like, she's really pushing herself and she's making it. And in the end, she manages to deliver the dress. She has to spend the night with this like family, and her mother comes to pick her up the next morning. And so I don't know, Jonathan Haidt, if you meant risky, like that kind of risk, but certainly these are interesting stories to tell your children, because I don't think we would ever allow our children in this day and age to go through a snowstorm to deliver something. This book clearly had not heard of the gig economy. So anyway, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, like, subscribe, tell your friends, etc., and see you soon. 4 for 4. Thanks.